Later, we came to find out that in his hometown of Appleby, Wisconsin, it is known as fact, and in some areas as law, that he is never to ever actually pay for a soda under any circumstances. Even though we were nowhere near his hometown, Dylan couldn't believe this rule was not intergalactic common knowledge. It's important to note that in his everyday persona, Dylan is not at all an entitled person. Actually, quite the opposite, which is what makes the tale of the soda-free Loda that much funnier. It's also important to note that I may or may not have enhanced some or all of the details for the sake of a more humorous scenario. Either way, this is how we choose to remember this story. There are so many more stories like these that I just do not have the time for in this foreword, but Dylan and I traveled together for years, and tales like these were commonplace. As time went on, each weekend they became fully expected. I am 7 and 8 years older than my siblings. I always think about how jealous I am of the bond my little brother and sister had because being a year apart, they did everything together. They grew up together, they went to school together, they hung out and partied together. I never had that special kind of bonding experience with a sibling until I met Dylan. My friendship with Dylan filled that void. I consider him wholeheartedly as my brother, the Krillin to my Goku. He is one of the only people that I can actually tolerate sharing a hotel room with on the road. He was, and still is, my Royal Rumble moment consultant. He's one of the few people I looked to for advice and experience as I was preparing for fatherhood. Most importantly, and this is easily my absolute favorite of Dylan's qualities, he's always been completely honest. This book certainly reflects that to the fullest, as it is an apologetically honest account of his life story. Interestingly enough, for all the years that we traveled together and got to know each other, I don't think we ever discussed the intimate details of his journey. I thoroughly enjoyed reading about them. His story is compelling, emotional, and very entertaining. I know you all will love and appreciate it as much as I did. Kofi Sarkodie Mensah, a.k.a. Kofi Kingston. Forward by Kurt Hawkins. As I'm sitting down to write this, I can't help but laugh to myself. Dylan Postl and I have next to nothing in common. He's a vertically challenged fellow from small-town Wisconsin, and I'm a 6'1", fast-talking New Yorker. We grew up in completely different worlds. Our friendship makes absolutely no sense on paper. But our common bond is what brought us together. We both have an almost disturbing level of love for professional wrestling. Professional wrestling is a form of entertainment unlike any other on the planet, something that I saw for my first time as a small child and became completely fascinated by. And Dylan did too. I can't believe they had cable in Oshkosh in the 90s. We became friends almost immediately. Together, we got to do what we love for a living and travel the world. Riding up and down the roads of America, telling stories, making memories, and always completely busting each other's balls. There's an old saying in pro wrestling that you do most of your integral learning in bars and the cars. I found this to be true, but through my experiences, it's also where the most invaluable friendships are forged as well. Dylan and I have always been very honest with each other. I know he's always going to tell me what he thinks, whether it's something I want to hear or not. That aspect of our relationship is something that I'll always cherish. I am so proud of Dylan. This guy's never had it easy, but he never made excuses for himself either. He just continued to defy the odds. Dylan, although it pains me to say it, is an incredible performer inside of a professional wrestling ring. But that's not the best version of Dylan. The best version of Dylan can be seen when he's home with his son Landon, being a father. Dylan is an absolute megadad. He's done all he can to build the best life for his son, and that's an inspiration. Dylan, I love you, pal. Brian Myers, a.k.a. Kurt Hawkins. Preface. May 23rd, 2006. The Rabobank Arena, Bakersfield, California. My name is Finlay, and I love to fight. The voice of Dave Fit Finlay boomed over the sound system, followed by his intimidating Celtic theme entrance music. Of the several thousand people in the arena who heard it, I was the only one who couldn't see the barrel-chested, gap-toothed, fighting Irishman approaching the ring. Finlay climbed through the ropes and stomped across the mat, each footstep reverberating beneath the ring where I sat alone, dressed as a leprechaun, in the darkness that I've been afraid of as far back as I can remember.